All right, Neth, what's up, man? You're muted, by the way. You just got to unmute, man.
Hey man.
Hey, dude, how you doing?
All right, man. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just hanging out, chilling. You know the deal.
Cool, cool, yeah. So, what did you think of the nameplate?
I thought it was okay. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
step up in the direction that people wanted it to go. So,
Mm.
um, if that's kind of the nameplates that people want, it sucks that you're only getting one next week. But I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's indicative of kind of what to expect moving forward. So that's cool. Why? What'd you think about
Yeah.
it?
The on the first viewing, I don't know. My face did something weird, and then I had a few repeat viewings, and then I was like, okay, I can get behind this. I can get behind this.
Yep.
Because I made some nameplates myself. So I'm an animator, motion designer, so I know exactly what goes into making these things. I've
Mm-hmm.
made them for socials before for other companies, um, and that was when I was like, it doesn't actually take that much time to do. They should kind of already tease one maybe
Mm-hmm.
weeks before. They would have had this in place. But I think the interesting thing was on stream was when they said the guy who makes them is restricted to doing just the overlays. So that's kind of given me a little bit more of an insight into
So
probably
what
how,
does that mean then for someone who does like just restricted to the overlays? What does that
yeah.
mean?
So that means that they would have probably been given a brief by
Mm-hmm.
someone higher up that said, "Hey, we need to do these 9 plates. You need to get this many out at this much time." Um, and then they said they might have been not been given in the brief. They may have been given, please, we want them to be overlays like this, or we want them to be really easily reproducible so that you can just whack an image behind it and then whack an overlay on top of it, make multiple with very minimal effort.
Mm.
And then they would just have to do it. If they're just working it, they just kind of have to do it. And then it seems like they went outside of the box, did something which they found it was interesting, and then sometimes you have to show a client, especially in the field if you're working, you have to show the client what it's going to look like
Mm.
before you before you even tell them what it is. You just have to go, look, it can be much better, and they go, hey, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, carry on from here on. Let's do all these. So I think there might have been a bit of push and pull internally with, hey, we can make these better, but maybe someone else higher up going, no, we just need to make loads. Please make loads. Yeah,
So
it's
so
it's
so it sounds like
interesting.
it's an argument of quantity versus quality then?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And even if it's like to animate one of them, maybe it's like one nameplate per day. Someone higher up might see that as too slow, which is
Mm.
crazy for me. Um, but yeah, if they think it's too slow, then they'll just find a ways to cut corners and do the
Right.
most time efficient thing rather than the best for quality or anything like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was interesting hearing that stuff, and I'm tour as well. I'm hoping he sticks around with
Yeah, I
some
mean
more of
it's
the
it's nice that
streams.
it's nice to have someone who's not so media focused just kind of come on and just talk about things, right? Just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure, for sure. So like moving forward then, based off like your experience, what do you expect to see out of nameplates moving forward? Like do you expect to see anything a little more crazy or do you expect kind of what we saw today from the Hawkeye one be like the standard for animation at that point?
It's probably going to be standard for the next. Oh, I would say maybe like the next 4 or 5 batches would be standard, and then
Okay.
as you go along, you kind of figure out what's the best way to still keep the quality while speeding up processes. So maybe they'll just say like, I mean, they even said in the stream that they managed to get the panels from Marvel directly. So maybe that stuff will have there'll be more of a workflow in that getting the stuff from Marvel, and it would already be broken down, so the person doesn't have to maybe break down certain things in Photoshop and then animate different elements. Maybe all that stuff is already cleaned up. So all that stuff is, I guess, what am I trying to say? It's all going to have a process which gets better and better and better over time.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I think for the first set of batches, it's probably going to be quite simple. Um, but hopefully it becomes a lot more interesting and stuff like that. But yeah, and they may hopefully they start adding some more stuff in there that's a little bit less, maybe less static images, and maybe
Mm.
like I remember I don't know who your last caller in was, but they were talking about the Black Panther one. It'd be great if there was like actual, flipping between two poses or something like that to show that there's some animation. Maybe when he's getting his claws out, that would
Oh
be
yeah.
a pose, switching between different panels. So to give the impression that it's animating as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch what happens. But hopefully they progress and get better.
Sweet, man. It's always nice to have someone with a little industry experience kind of come on and shed some light, man. Because at the end of the day, a lot of
Yeah.
us are just kind of like outside of it, speculating. You know what I mean? So,
Mm,
um,
yeah.
I always appreciate like an expert coming on and just being like, "Here's kind of how it works, man."
I mean,
So,
don't call me an expert.
well,
I'm
you know what
just
I mean. You know what I
I'm
mean,
just a
right?
guy
Like,
in the industry.
it's always nice having
I'm
someone.
just another cog. I'm just another cog.
No, I hear what you're saying, but it's nice with someone who has a little more hands-on experience that can kind of like shed some light. Because sometimes, like, a lot of it comes down to, and when like on the outside looking in, it's like, why is this taking so long? And it's like, well, there's obviously hurdles, and it's like it's with any job, right? Like, it's not so much like
Mm,
you get the orders to do the job. It's like, well, you got to get feedback. Then there's like different implementations, but you know,
exactly.
but sometimes having someone in a more authoritative position who has that industry experience kind of shedding the light does do a lot, whether it's for good or bad reasons, right? So
Yeah,
um
exactly. So yeah, I mean that was mainly the thing that I kind of wanted to highlight in the Reddit was, hey, I do this almost every day. I've been doing it for like 9 years on and
mm,
off on my own and in other companies. I know what it's like. I know what the type of thing they're trying to go for. Um, this is obviously stuff that is done in socials mostly because to make cinema graphs, looping GIFs, and all that stuff. This is how long it would take me. And I did one after I finished work. I was actually working from home. I finished work on a project, had 2 hours to spare. Did the 2 hours, um, and then went and made some dinner. And when I came back, I was like, okay, cool, I've done it. It's uploaded.
mm,
And that took me like 2 hours with none
right.
of the resources, none of the extra stuff from Marvel, none of that extra stuff,
Mm,
and just as a first viewing anyway, to give to someone higher up and go, hey, what do you think of this? It's
mm,
2 hours in a day at most for a nameplate with the feedback intact as well. That's why I was finding it really hard to understand how they couldn't even tease one.
right.
Like they couldn't even get the approval to tease one. Um, yeah, it just got me thinking about the internal workings of that as well. So I don't know how they how how they deal with the stuff with Disney as well, and Marvel, if
Right.
it's Marvel or Marvel Games. I don't know if it's just Disney that's tying
Well,
itself to this as well.
it's Marvel Games. It'd be Marvel
Yeah,
Games. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what the process of that is. Whether Marvel Games have to again say, okay, this is us. We have this stuff, but we also have a chain of command in our side that we have to go through. So
Mm,
if you send us feedback for something, you'll get it back in 3 weeks, kind of thing.
right.
So I
Right.
don't know. I don't know.
Is it well? Just one quick question for you. Was it
Yeah.
surprising that they said they only had one guy, like a guy, working on it? Like, is this surprising that there's only one person supposedly, or is that
No,
pretty
no,
normal?
not. Yeah, that's not uncommon. That's very regular. Like if you, I'm trying to think of an example, maybe in my past.
Mm,
I was in a company with I think 400, 500 people, and we had multiple places around the world as well, multiple studios around the world.
mm,
But I was one person working on these gifts for like Nike or Adidas or something like that,
right.
and that's it. You're just one person doing it, but it's the process of chain of command. I send it to my producer sends it to the client sends it to the PR people, the marketing, they all have to agree. Someone else
Right.
higher up has to agree. And then it has found its way all the way back down with everyone making their little jabs of, I think this should be faster. I think this should be smaller. I think it should be bigger.
Mm,
And then that also increases the time it takes for other people to approve that feedback and get back
right.
down to the person who's working on it. But the one person working on it, that's totally normal. It just depends on how skilled they are in what they're having to do or what they're being asked to do, and if they've had any experience doing it before, or if the process of putting it into the game is more difficult.
Okay. One more question. I'm kind of picking your
Yeah,
brain a little bit here.
yeah, go ahead, man.
What's the pie in the sky scenario for nameplates overall over the next like little while? Like what do you see as like the top of the line, the most they could do with this kind of implementation in the game?
Oh, that's quite hard. Um,
Put you on the spot a little bit.
oh well, yeah, just because I'm trying to think, what would I suggest if I
Mm.
had to kind of pitch my skills to a client like that? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's quite a limited aspect of to work on stuff. Like they would, the maximum they could do is do custom made animations that aren't in the game, that are almost like takedowns that you can only see in the nameplates.
Mm.
Like stuff like that is just like it would never be seen anywhere else, or these animations that won't be seen anywhere else. I don't know, or maybe if you could reenact certain things from the comics in the engine, and then put that as
Oh,
some of the
okay.
animated nameplates, and then obviously add some extra elements and effects and
Right.
all that stuff. Um, yeah, I don't think it can go any. You can't get any wilder than that,
Mm.
unless you have emotes that have like pop-up effects and stuff like that in
Right.
the game and stuff. But yeah, I'm not too sure how far. I mean, nameplates aren't seen quite a lot during the whole game process anyway. They're mostly just seen
In
well,
the
when you're in the
menus,
lobby.
yeah. Yeah, in the lobby.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's quite restrictive in general, anyways.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on and shedding some light on that
No
process,
worries.
dude.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude. If I have any other questions related to that, maybe we'll just ping you, get your thoughts on it. Would that be cool?
Yeah, totally,
One,
totally. I'm here working from home, like everyone
one.
else.
Sweet, man. Thanks a lot for your time and thanks for
No
giving
worries.
some of those details, man. Thank you. Thank
All
you
right,
again.
cheers, man.
Cheers.
All right, see you. Peace.
All right, Electro coming with the sub to the channel, man. Thank you so much for the sub there, Electro. I appreciate it a lot, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Square Enix should hire that dude. That was great, man. Listen, if you guys work in the industry and you want to come and like shed some light, like, and give some details on how things work in the industry, I love that, man. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a dude that sits behind his computer and talks shit. Like at the core basis of it, I have no game related in experience. So for me, I can only assume based on things that I hear within conversations or kind of speculate based on that. So having someone come on and be like, this is how things actually are, that's fucking amazing. So thank you again to Nethstar coming on and talking like that. And thank you to everyone who comes on and spreads some love that way, man.